the expo is that weekend. So we won't have it, we'll be moving to May. And in May, we will have container gardening. And this is good for patios, small areas, whatever that you might have. And we've got a lot of housing projects going up, a lot of apartments and so forth. This is very good to have at this time for that one. That will be Karen Webster for that. And today I'm going to introduce you to Sally Ford. And Sally, I'll read her very nice biography here. She is very involved with a lot of things. Read it here.
She's going to steal my thunder.
Now I'm going to give you her thunder. She is on it. Okay, she's also a master gardener, of course. And also her husband, Richard, is here. Both of them work with the master gardeners. And Sally is a volunteer at the McCoy Farm and Gardens on Walden Ridge Native Plant Initiative. How many are familiar with the McCoy restoration up on the mountain? Great.
Then you have a treat if you haven't been. Come on up.
Sally enjoyed a career in international taxation with multinational corporations in Memphis, Tennessee. She retired from FedEx as Vice President Worldwide Income Tax and moved to Chattanooga area on the backside of Signal Mountain 10 years ago. Looking to explore new opportunities, she and her husband, Richard, took the master gardening class in Hamilton County. From there, Sally became involved as a volunteer at McCoy as the pollinator gardens as they were being developed, and eventually became chair of the garden committee and a board member. She worked with a great team of other volunteers to design and develop a children's garden during the pandemic. That one I haven't seen yet. I've got to go see. Native plants were a focus at McCoy, and with the Walden's Ridge Native Plant Initiative, which helped create native gardens at several locations on Walden Ridge. Sally enjoys travel and spending time with her two children, Ashley and David, and the three grandchildren who help volunteer at the gardens. So we welcome Sally Ford.
Well, let's see. I'm going to try it this way so I can move around. Is that working? I'm also part of a garden club up on Signal Mountain. I never thought I'd be a member of the garden club, and I was fortunate to be included. And we had our annual luncheon on Wednesday, and they had these pretty little cards at the tables. And so I collected one of each, and I thought intermittently, I'll just read the quote because they all apply to butterflies, pollinators, and gardens. Think of your garden as a feeding station and safe haven for birds, butterflies, bees, and other wildlife. And we're just getting ready for that season. Have any of you been on a hiking trail recently? One of the ones, where did y'all go? Where did you go?
I live on the backside of Signal. I just moved
Same
here a couple
here.
years ago.
Okay, awesome.
So I kind of search out the waterfalls.
Yeah. And
Enterprise South.
Enterprise South, wonderful. There's another one that I discovered in the last 2 or 3 years. It's Shake Rag Hollow at Sewanee, so it's just an hour away. And you go down into this forest floor, and they're beautiful ephemerals right about now. And even though we've had some freeze and will have some more freezes in the next day or two, I think that they'll still be really beautiful. And then the next bit will come along. So I would recommend that as a near local wildflower hike.
No, the name.
Oh, the name is Shake Rag Hollow, and it got its name back when people were brewing whiskey, and they had their stills down in the hollow. And the way to prove that you were not a revenue agent and therefore a threat was to shake your rag, and then there would be no shooting. So let's see. We're going to talk about pollinators and native gardens. Let's see if I can get this to work. Hold on.
Point it at the machine.
Well, I think I just turned it on. Here it is. Yep, it's on. There we go. Okay. This is kind of a roadmap of our talk this morning, what we'll talk about and see. We're going to talk about pollination itself. That seemed like just the very basics. And I was originally a biology major in college and went back to school to do all the accounting stuff for a career. But I've always had an interest in this. So we'll talk about pollination. We'll talk about pollinators. Monarchs specifically, I just fell in love with the story about not just the life cycle of monarchs, but also the migration cycle. And it's many of you probably already know, but we'll do a little primer on it. Then we'll talk about the needs of pollinators, and in connection with that, we'll go into garden planning and what a garden needs. And when we're doing that, we'll use McCoy Children's Garden as an example, because as Carol said, we went through this during the COVID process, the COVID pandemic, and I took pictures all along the way, and it's a good example of what you need to do to develop a pollinator garden. And then we'll talk about host plants and nectar plants and natives.
Can you pull
the
mic out of the way? Mic stand.
Oh, sure. There.
Thank you.
And we'll look at selected plants as examples of natives that you can use in the pollinator garden from McCoy. And then I do have a garden planning activity. I had envisioned that all the tables would be set up. So at the end, anybody that wants to stay and work on their own garden design, I have all kinds of books up here that have native plants for this area. I've got a handout of different garden things with different light needs and moisture needs and plants that go with it. And then I have this one for each of you if you want to design your own. And to make it colorful, I went by Dollar General. I had no idea. They have things for 50 cents. They weren't $1, it was 50 cents. Okay. There we go. So why is pollination so important? And it's a topic in the news. We hear about threats and risks. Pollinators are important because they pollinate 75% of our U.S. flowering plants. That's just amazing. There are 3,500 species of bees, and I went back and checked that because I'd originally had 4,000. And there is a source that I used that said 4,000, but I thought nobody will believe me. And I found another one in Xerces Society that said 3,500. There's 750 species of butterflies and moths, and thousands more species of wasps, flies, and beetles. 100 of our U.S. grown crops rely on honeybees and other pollinators, and I have a section of who they are and pictures. There are all kinds of pollinators out there. Turtles can even be well, they're not really a pollinator, but they can spread seeds on mayflowers, May-apples, excuse me. Pollinators add more than 18 billion worldwide, 3 billion in the U.S. in revenue to crop production. And that includes things like almonds and fruits, berries, melons, and squash, and others, tomatoes. I've got a slide that shows the various categories of plants and how dependent they are. So we'll take a look at that. And U.S. honeybee products add another 700 million. So they've got quite a lot of dough associated with them. Here's the thing on, I'm going to see if this works. Yeah. This goes from no dependency on pollinators to essential. And then on the right side, there are things like cereals, wheat and rice, sweet potatoes and carrots, legumes. they don't depend on pollinators. But as you go down the chart, things like soybeans and strawberries, coconuts and okra. I don't know, do y'all like okra? I do too, and I have this recipe. I chop it up, I chop it on the diagonal to make it different. And I put cornmeal with it. I just sprinkle it over it. I put cumin and cayenne pepper, and then I just saute it in oil, and it is, oh man, it's so good. But I didn't like okra as a child. I was very finicky. And then you go down and you get a higher dependency. These plants have a 40 to 90% dependency for their yield. Things like apples, blueberries, mangoes, peaches, all the things we love, nuts. Oh, I love all of that. And then essential, 90% or more, are things like kiwis and melons, cocoa beans, and Brazil nuts. So pollinators are important. They're critical to our food chain and to our economy. Why are they at risk? Well, this is just a review of what you probably already know. There's a huge habitat loss. It's usually due to construction where they just clear cut, and agriculture where they use all the pesticides and herbicides that get rid of native plants. There's been a decline in local plants with their quality. And with all of the habitat loss, there's disruption to breeding and their nesting sites. Pesticides, parasites, and other pests, and disease. So what can we do? Maybe we can't change the world. Maybe we can just change our experience with it, our own garden. We can grow pollinator gardens. Does anybody have a pollinator garden? So quite a few, yeah. We can plant natives. And I thought, well, what is a native really? Natives, and this was a definition I found, they occur naturally in their own ecoregion and habitat where they evolve along with other species in that ecosystem so that they're adapted to the physical conditions of that environment and they grow well there. And when we have plants that come in that are not native, they compete with this and can supersede some of our important native plants. What else can we do? We can give bees nesting areas. I am inclined to be real tidy, so I try to trim things down at the end of the season, but I've had to learn to put that impulse aside because you want to leave the stalks from like sunflowers or any of the plants that have flowers that are up on stalks. You want to leave those because bees can nest in them over winter. You want to leave the leaves on the ground. There are queen bees that nest just underneath that leaf mulch. So now you have an excuse, a reason not to be so tidy so quickly. We should avoid or minimize pesticides. And I looked up neem oil because I've always heard neem oil's okay, and that's a qualified. Some people would say it's not okay at all. If you're going to use neem oil, you should use just the foliar spray that you spray on the leaves and do it only in the early morning or late evening because the pollinators aren't there and it has a time to dry and it's not as big a risk. But if you use the injectable kind that gets in the roots and up in the plants, that neem oil actually gets into the pollen. It's amazing. It gets into the plant, even to the extent of the pollen. And so the honeybees and other bees carry it back to their nest. And it has a hormone effect that interferes with the reproduction of these creatures. So I would use it minimally or not at all. We need to protect our grasslands and plant milkweed for our monarch population. And milkweed likes to grow. It is pretty hardy. I do want to say one thing about milkweed. If you plant milkweed and, you're going to have monarchs that come and deposit their eggs, plant more than one milkweed because one is not enough to sustain the larva that will emerge and feed off of that.
Can I share something?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Keep in mind that while milkweed is for monarchs.
Right.
Virtually every butterfly has a specific plant or family of plants that it prefers to lay its eggs on.
Yes.
So like there's the spice bush swallowtail that if you put some spice bushes in your yard.
You're
that's
gonna
gonna
get some
support those
swallowtail.
butterflies.
Yeah.
So that's another reason to try and keep a very varied pollinator garden so that. you're
Excellent
supporting
point.
multiple.
Yeah, good point. So what is pollination? It's the way plants reproduce generally. There's a transfer of pollen from the anthers to the stigma. It's not kind of like male to female. Pollen grain germinates and the pollen tube grows down the style and penetrates the ovary and delivers not one, but two sperm, two of them. One's just not enough. One sperm joins with an egg and produces a seed, and the other sperm joins with what's called the polar nuclei to produce endosperm, which is a nutrient-rich food surrounding the seed. So it's kind of like a yolk. What does it look like? Well, here, let's see. Here's a flower and the bee has come in here first. Here's the ovary and this style, and this stigma is the opening. And then here's the anther up on the filaments where the pollen is. So the bee comes down in there looking for honey or pollen or whatever, and it gets the pollen on its body and it goes to the next flower. And the pollen is deposited on the stigma, and it makes its way down there to the ovary where the reproduction takes place, where you get a seed and where you get I'm trying to think of the word. Anyway, that's where the reproduction takes place. I'll just leave it at that. And there are three types of pollination. The first is self-pollination. And that's just within the same flower. And then there's one where it's the same plant, but a different flower. And that's called gytonogamy. Y'all, I had to do the thing where you look up how to pronounce it. And I sat in my chair, my comfy chair last night, and I'm like, gytonogamy. Anyway, I love that feature. Technology can be a little frustrating at times, but it can be the best friend we've ever had too. And then there's cross-pollination, which is from one plant to a different flower on a different plant. And there's some interesting facts to think about with pollinators and flowers. It's a symbiotic relationship. It helps the pollinators and it helps the plant too. The pollinators provide mobility and delivery of the pollen so that the plants can reproduce, and the plants provide food and other resources like nectar. Plants use a variety of devices, not wittingly, but evolutionarily, they develop these devices. One is rewards. Pollen is a reward. It's an important source of protein. Bees actually combine, some bees, not all, but some combine the pollen with nectar to make a bee breath. And the eggs are laid in it, and it's consumed as they develop. And then there's nectar. We have host plants, as she was talking about, where certain species of butterfly or moth have to have that particular plant to grow, to have the egg laid there and for the larva to grow. But butterflies can get nectar from any plant. They don't have to go back to their host plant. And then there's resin and oil, and it can be used to line an insect brood cell or used to make bread, and even has microbial properties that protect larvae. And then I thought this one was interesting. I got this out of a new book that I got. Pollinators of native plants. It has all kinds of information like this about the pollinators and about the plants
You
and how
wanna
they interact.
Can you show it to the Zoom?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Okay. And these books are available for y'all to come look at it into the presentation. But like here is a black-eyed Susan. To us, it looks yellow with a little dark center, but to a bee, it's like and they use ultraviolet light. It's a broader two-toned landing pad, and it just attracts the insect to come right down on there. I thought that was fascinating. I didn't know anything about that until I started doing the research. Other attractants are their color changes. Flowers can, depending on their stage of development or depletion, they can change colors. The Canada tip trefoil goes from pink to violet after pollination occurs. And that can be a signal that this plant you can go ahead and pass over and go on to the pink. My granddaughter, I was asking her, I said, should I take these purple pajamas or these pink ones? And she goes, you can never go wrong with pink. The shape of flowers make a difference. They're open composite flowers that are easy for the insects to access the pollen. And there's basically, it's like that's like Susan, there's a landing pad. It's easy for the insect to land on and just hang out while it gets pollen or nectar. And then penstemon are an example of a tubular flower, and they have a single petal at the bottom that's like the landing pad. And then there are nodding flowers like columbine that attract buzz pollination, where the bees just hover and buzz and get their pollen that way. So they all match up. And then fragrance. Insects detect scents through their antenna and their mouth parts, and it goes up to their brain. Bees, like us, they like fruity, sweet smelling flowers, but guess what flies like? And things like carrion and dung and, you know, those not so pleasant earthy smells. So who are the pollinators? They range from ants through the usual suspects of bees and wasps and flies and beetles, butterflies and moths, hummingbirds, bats, reptiles, mammals like mice and monkeys, and of course us. Who has gone out to their tomato plant to make sure they're going to get tomatoes and taken a paintbrush and gone from one to the next? Has anybody done that? Am I the only lonely? Well, see, my husband has. And I just thought I'd just share some pictures. They're from the internet. You've got your ant up here, a honeybee, a bumblebee, wasps, flies, beetles. And this I found interesting because it looks like a wasp, but it's really a beetle. And then your butterflies and moths and hummingbirds. Here's a reptile. Look at that bat. He's so proud. And here's the little mouse. It's amazing. And monkeys, and see here, that could have been me. It wasn't, but it could have been. for the tomato plant. Oh, I'm reading a new book. And it is a wonderful book. It's about that ephemeral trail at Sewanee. David Haskell designed a 1 meter square section of the forest floor at Shake Rag Hollow, just an hour away. And he observed that 1 meter square for the entire year. And then he wrote a book about it. And each chapter is about a different thing that's happening anywhere from January through December. And it is so well written and so interesting. And I use it almost like a meditation moment. I'll read one chapter. I don't do it every day. I guess maybe I'm not that disciplined. But I wanted to read just to share with you. Don't turn out the light, because everybody, I may look up and everybody's asleep. It's like story time. April 2nd, flowers. An impossible number of flowers blaze out of the mandala. Confusion sets in when I try to count them. 280, 320. Too many crowded into 1 square meter. The flowers valets are in attendance, buzzing and humming in smart, furry dress, fussing over the floral royalty. I join them in their observance and genuflect, then prostrate myself, hand lens pressed to my eye. You can just, well, see, that's what he's doing. And he gets down, and he's a scientist. I mean, he's a professor at Sewanee, and he's a scientist. A fountain of anthers arches from the chickweed's open bloom, a central dome. The ovary is ringed by gracile, creamy filaments holding up tawny knots of pollen grains. These filaments soar away from the pad, the stigma. The chickweed has 3 stigmas. Is this working? I didn't think it was.
You got to be right in the middle.
How's that? I can be loud if I need to. It just won't help with Zoom. The chickweed has 3 stigmas planted at the peak of the ovaries, uneven dome, each one waiting for a pollen dusted bee to brush past. The surface of the stigma is a forest of microscopic fingers reaching out to embrace pollen grains. If the petals do their job and attract the bee, the stickiness of the stigma traps the rough-coated grains. Once pollen is caught, the stigma assesses it, rejecting any from different species. Isn't that amazing? It's like they have the ability to sort. The plant also shuns its own pollen and that from close relatives, preventing self-fertilization and infancy. Now this is
Back up.
okay.
That's the cloud.
How's that? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. In a few species,
Makes it easier.
let me try this. This will work better.
Yeah, that just has to be helpful.
I'll baby it. In
Yeah.
a few species, this rule against self-fertilization is broken because no other suitable pollen arrives.
Where are we?
Is something going on? I heard,
I did too.
I thought it was your phone. Okay. Such self-fertilization is a strategy of last resort used by Hepatica and other species that bloom in the early spring. For these species, desperate self-love is better than no love at all, when inclement weather grounds their pollinating insects. If the biochemical matchmaking goes well, the stigma cell release water and nutrients to melt the pollen's tough armor. The pollen grains shell cracks open, ruptured by the swelling pair of cells within. Remember, there were the 2 sperm cells. The larger of these 2 cells grow amoeba-like out of the ruptured pollen coat and start to burrow down between the enveloping cells of the stigma, forming a tube. Each stigma is at the tip of the stalk, known as the style, and the pollen tube works its way down the style, either pushing between the cells, or if the style is hollow, flowing down the style's inner wall like a drop of oil. The second smaller pollen cell divides and forms two sperm cells. These float down the pollen tube, carried along like rafters in a flowing river. Unlike the sperm cells of animals, mosses, and ferns, these rafters have no oars. Their movement is entirely passive. The style's length is caused by the need to hold the stigmas up where bees will bump up against them. This creates a challenging odyssey for the pollen tube, and therefore a convenient testing ground on which the plant can assess her suitors. Bees dump many pollen grains onto each stigma, so the style may have several tubes growing at once. If so, the style becomes the Kentucky Derby of plant life. The sperm cells jockey their tubes toward the ovule, which contains the plant's egg. The price of failure is the annihilation of the writer's genes. There is some evidence that vigorous plants produce fast pollen tubes. So the style's length allows the flower to select mates with a history of success. Perhaps the styles are a little longer than strictly necessary for intercepting bees, just to give the pollen stallions a good hard run. When the pollen tube reaches the base of the style, it burrows into the fleshy ovule. Here the pollen tube releases its two sperms. One sperm cell joins with the egg to make an embryo. The other joins with the DNA from two other tiny plant cells to make a larger cell with a triple complement of DNA. This triply endowed cell divides, fattens up, and becomes a food storage for the developing seed. I'm almost through. A store that humans have put to use as wheat flour and cornmeal. Such double fertilization is unique to flowering plants. Sexual union in all other creatures requires only one sperm cell and one egg cell. Anyway, I just wanted to share an example of that book and how interesting his writing is. It's very detailed and things that I never knew anything about. So I hope you enjoyed it. Now, this is what our friend over here was talking about. The different butterflies, and this is just an example, have different host plants, like the monarch has the milkweed. The black swallowtail likes fennel, dill, parsley, or carrot. Painted lady likes thistle or hollyhock and plantain grass. And these are just some examples. I have another slide that shows a larger sample. But I wanted to talk about monarchs because I find it so interesting. Their stage, the egg, the larva, the chrysalis, and the adult. We're going to talk first about the life cycle of an individual monarch, and then we're going to talk about the migratory cycle, which is interesting because it depends on which direction they're going as to how long an individual monarch lives. There's an egg that's been laid by an adult. Sorry. Here's what it looks like up close, but here you can see how tiny it is on this milkweed leaf. And she lays anywhere from 300 to 1,000 eggs, and they're laid individually on the underneath of these plants. And then the eggs take from 3 to 5 days to hatch. Here's the larva after it's hatched, and it will begin eating voraciously immediately, and it has to eat the milkweed. And what's interesting is the milkweed has a toxin in it that doesn't harm the larvae, that makes them unattractive to predators. And that's one of the evolutionary features of this particular species. And I've often thought, well, why don't they just go lay their eggs somewhere else? Well, it just doesn't work that way. They have spent years developing this protection, and they always go back to milkweed. And I think the larvae live a couple of weeks, and then they shed their black and white outward skin and attach themselves underneath the plant and become a chrysalis. And during the next couple of weeks, a transformation occurs. Isn't that a beautiful? I love these golden bees. Now, this is not a picture that I took, but up at McCoy, we have milkweed up there, and I happened to see one of these chrysalis, and there's a picture later. And there it's coming time, 10 to 14 days is the life cycle of the chrysalis, and you can begin to see the colors of the monarch as it gets closer. And the monarch, it gets the chrysalis thins and splits as the monarch grows, and it'll hang out there for several hours, letting its wings dry and letting fluid fill them out until they're ready to fly. And then, as I mentioned, they can go to any plant for nectar. They're no longer limited to the milkweed. So the adult is fully grown but needs nectar. It can go to a variety, not limited to milkweed. And it takes about 4 to 5 days to sexually mature, and then beyond that, it lives 2 to 6 weeks. And the male pursues the females in the air, and they mate and on the ground and remain together for 30 minutes to an hour. I thought that was quite amazing. They like to cuddle. I never thought about it that way, but both males and females mate several times, and the egg laying takes place shortly after mating has occurred. Now, the migration of monarchs. This was just the life cycle of the individual, but the whole species, they spend the winter down in Mexico in a certain area, and they congregate on trees. And when spring comes, about March or April, they begin to come awake again. These individual butterflies, monarchs, and they'll fly north, and they'll fly and lay eggs. They'll mate and lay eggs, and the caterpillars will eat the milkweed, and then they'll transform into the butterflies, and that'll be the first generation. And they'll come out and mate and have offspring. And during the course of the summer, they'll go all the way up into even Canada, the southern part of Canada. And then August or so, something happens and they know it's time to go home. So they've had, say, 3 or 4 generations going north. But coming south, that single butterfly that starts the journey south, it doesn't last just 6 to 8 weeks. It lasts 8 months because it's heading south. It's got a long way to go. It's going to go all the way back to Mexico and hang out with its buddies during the winter. Let's see. Yeah, southbound. We talked about northbound here. No single monarch makes the northbound journey. Could be the great-grandchildren of the ones that started. And then coming back south in August or September, that single monarch goes for 8 to 9 months. Yeah, and here are just the sources of how far they go from Mexico. So the Northeast provides about 15% of the monarchs heading south. We provide 8%. The most is in the Midwest. And then Northwest is 12 and North Central is 17. I wonder if it's because of how much reproduction is going on, how much milkweed is out there. I'm not really sure, but I thought that was an interesting.
You know, they actually fly across the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, it's like the same thing. How do they compete if they're flying over water?
I don't know. They may go along. Do you know?
It actually says on the slide, arrows do not represent actual migration.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. They may go along over land, but I'll look that up and see if I can find the answer. And there are just some of them hanging out. And this shows a general decline. This is the number of hectares that the monarchs occupy in their winter stay. So you can see starting in 94 to 95, 96, 96, 97, it was quite a few. But the general trend is downward, and this is 21, 22. So it motivates me to plant milkweed. Yes.
I watched a presentation from this group, and they said that it's not just the food source, but it's a lot of it's the climate, depending
Yeah.
on how much rain in the Midwest, whether or not they're going to make it. So, and apparently the season, the heat, the hot,
Right.
they travels with the heat, and it has to be just right.
Right, or it can stress them, I would assume. Yeah.
And they're trying to get farmers to have corridors where they just leave the milkweed to grow.
Yeah.
Because that's been a big part of it. There's
It has been.
starvation for them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
She was just, I don't know if everybody could hear her, but she was talking about, she had seen in the program, and climate change has affected the population, and that also the amount of milkweed, the heat, and one other thing you said.
Yeah, it was that the climate has to be just right.
Right, oh, and I know what it was,
Source.
that the farmers were being encouraged to have corridors of milkweed. Yes, ma'am.
So on the milkweed, I've got an acre. You said more than one plant. So do I spread it out over the acre, or do I have it all in one area?
You know, I don't know. I would assume that both would help, but I don't know the answer. I wish I did.
I kind of have an answer for that a little bit. I was
Okay.
reading that the plants, it's good to kind of have a bunch of them together as well, because the plants need to touch, so that the caterpillar can go from one plant to the other. And if they're like this, they're only limited to that plant. They can't get to this one.
Yeah, that's right. I heard that too.
Okay, and I'll just repeat that for the folks on Zoom. She was asking whether she has an acre. Should she spread them all out or put them close together? And another participant was saying that it was her understanding that you should have them grouped together, at least groupings, so that the caterpillar can go from one plant to the next, which ties in with what I said earlier about having more than one plant. So that's great. Yes.
Just as an anecdote, about 5-7 years ago at IMAX, there was a whole movie on the monarch. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
So look for that to come back.
Okay.
And secondly, you mentioned about the toxicity of the plant. I've got cows on my property for weed control and all that. Do you know if I planted milkweed, if the cows would get into it?
My guess is they wouldn't eat it because it wouldn't be tasty to them. I think it's the latex that is in the plant that creates the toxin.
That's right.
Yeah, you could try a small stain.
They're deer resistant, so maybe.
Yeah. Deer resistant, so that would suggest that maybe it wouldn't be appealing to cows.
there's a number of different varieties of milkweed.
There are,
So you need to be sure to get the one that's attractive.
right. There's a common milkweed, and I believe swamp milkweed is what we typically use. Yes,
In answer to his question about the cows,
yeah,
the implication from the answer from Google is that even though it's not good for them, they might still eat it. And it says it can be toxic if it's so for landowners with grazing animals, it's recommended that you either remove milkweed or make sure it's blocked off from
okay.
livestock.
Does that help? You can put it behind the fence on the other side. The milkweed is always greener on the other side. Okay, what do pollinators need in your garden? They need food, shelter, water, and a place to raise their family. They need food such as nectar and pollen. You can provide bee boxes, sandy soil, leave your stems from your flowers from last year. And you can also provide shallow pans for water. And as we've been talking about, they need host plants. I just did a couple of examples of nesting boxes. Y'all have probably seen these. This is a bumblebee box, and they come and go through here and build their nest here. And this is just a circulating chamber, air circulation. And then these are mason bee nests. Honeybee hives. Does anybody grow honeybees? We've got 2. That's awesome. I have a neighbor that does, and she always shares her honey. She's very popular. Here are water sources for pollinators. Okay. Does anybody need a break, or would y'all like to? We got 1. 2. Why don't we take, say, a 5-minute break, and then we'll go back in. We've done pollinators and that process and everything, and then when we come back, we'll talk about actual gardens.
If you need the restroom, there's the news desk in the back. You can also take the elevator to the second floor and
All right, I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm new. I just moved to your.
Yeah, that's where I am.
I don't know.
You know, you go to the front of the mountain. And you know, if you could turn left to go down the W, off to the right, you'll see the Floyd Farm Gardens. But to get to it, keep going on past the W. And it's like right. Yeah, and then hold on, I'll show you.
I had a huge butterfly garden.
I was gonna tell you to see if you could try to use that because it's moving so much on the.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
I gotta get my screen back up. When I touched it, it went away, so now I'm trying to see what my screen looks like.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Well, we'll go into some.
All right, come on.
Probably smaller gardens.
Yes. I can't see.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The internet is not flowing. But, you know, we're through it.
Yeah. Use that
So
if
if
you
you've
can.
got,
It's
if you're
moving so
heading
much
towards
on
the front,
I know. I'm trying. Wish I could see it here.
yeah, well.
No. There I go. Now I can see it.
We have a stationary thing. Let's have a stationary.
Yeah, I was thinking of trying to take you guys
Because
one.
I've been looking for a good native plant, but for.
Yeah, here.
And they had, I used to live in Texas and there were hundreds of them. And I come out here and I can't find just like the definitive source of natives for East Tennessee. Oh, actually, yeah.
My audio is off.
Audio is off, they can't hear
Okay.
Actually, no, your audio isn't off.
it. Okay, she's talking to.
I, let's see. Huh? To the rest of the group, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, and I'm sending out the handouts to everyone who put their email in the chat. So check your inbox in a minute.
teacher voice.
Do what now?
Use your teacher voice.
Yeah. Well, I really don't need a microphone, but they do, the Zoom. So I feel like it's cutting in and out for some reason, so I'll do the best I can.
Hmm.
I'll take suggestions
That's a good microphone.
right here. He says, I've got the right thing. Okay. So now we're going to talk about what's important in a garden. Location, it's kind of like real estate, location, right? The soil, the moisture content, whether it's sunny, part shade or shade. And those are sort of the basic parameters that you want to think about with any garden, including a pollinator garden. The size determines the number of plants, whether you use tall plants in the back, or if it's a oval and you've got perspective from all sides, you might put the tall plants or shrubs in the middle and smaller as you get to the edge. And we'll talk about design and layout. And we're going to talk about native plants to accommodate the site and attract a variety of pollinators. And as she mentioned, we'll talk about host plants, keystone general. I've got lists of natives. There's so much material out there. And one of the things that I'll hand out at the end is a list of internet resources. And that's just scratching the surface. We are so lucky to have all the resources that we do. And all throughout this part of it, I'm going to weave the process of building the children's garden at McCoy, because it is not exclusively native plants, but it has probably 70% natives, and pollinators love it.
Sally, explain
Yeah.
keystone.
Well, I'm going to get to that. Those are important plants that support 75% of pollinators. And it can be insects, it can be butterfly, moths. And in this area in Hamilton County and Sequatchie, where I live, there are two general types of terrains. There's ridge and valley, and then the plateau. And there's a variety of topography. Soils on the ridge and valley are less acidic. They're made up mostly of sandstone and shale with some limestone. And valleys are generally salt shales and clayish limestone. That actually said, originally it said clayey, but I looked at it last night and I thought that, I don't like that. We're gonna make it clayish. And then up on the Cumberland Plateau where I live, the soil is more acidic and it's typically well-drained, loamy, acidic, and it's unfortunately low in natural fertility. And it doesn't have a deep bed of soil. There's a lot of rock under a few inches. Not exclusively, but when we also have a vegetable garden that we did, and you can't go down 2 or 3 feet at the most before you begin to hit rock on the plateau, but it is beautiful. You know, I came here from Memphis, which is a totally different ecosystem. I mean, I'm thinking cotton and soybeans. In Memphis, though, there are lots of azaleas and dogwoods, but you come here, this is one of the most biodiverse regions in the country and even on the planet. We have so much wealth of native plants. It's really a wonderful place. I guess that's why I got interested in it. And I was tired of tax. You know, I used to say, I'm a tax geek. And then I'd go, everybody's jealous. And then I'd go, no, nobody's jealous. What?
Cherokee Health Center.
What?
Cherokee Health.
Oh, the Cherokee called this, where we live, the center of the universe. And Thank you, Richard. It is at the center of our university. We're very fortunate. When I was thinking about the soil, I remembered when Richard and I developed our vegetable garden, we had the soil tested. And we did it through the Ag Center. The UT Extension Office, you can test for nitrogen, potassium, pH, and other items if you indicate you want to test for that. Costs about $35, takes 3 to 5 days, and they make recommendations. You can amend the soil with things like mushroom compost and worm casting. They're organic. Now, to till or not to till, we've done both. I think the general idea now is it's better not to till if you can take a different approach. It doesn't disturb the soil. It doesn't disturb the structure of it. It doesn't kill the earthworms. And you'll see when we're looking at the children's garden that we did the non-till process. And you basically add compost, and then you put layers of cardboard or newspaper or what have you on top of it, and then mulch on top of that. And it begins to almost till itself over time. And you can replenish year after year. You don't have to do it every year, but it enhances the soil in the process. Okay. Here's a sample that I got from here that shows the pH, the different nutrients. It's kind of hard to read it. It's phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, manganese, boron, and sodium. And there are other tests that you can do, and then they'll come up with, depending on whether it's a lawn or a vegetable garden, they can make recommendations. But it's not bad information to know what you're starting with. Okay. This is McCoy. This is a historic picture, probably in the 1950s. Here's the barn, and here was Mrs. McCoy's flower garden. And I love this picture because there's a person, he was the caretaker, named Nevin Hatfield. See if you can find him. Y'all see him? He's hiding out in the flowers. Right here. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that cute? It's like finding Waldo, but we're finding Nevin. This is what it looked like in 2020. And these are some of the people that volunteer up there. Wonderful folks. You can see the barn here. And this was there was a healing bed, and there were a variety of plants, daffodils and other things that we salvaged and planted elsewhere. Because we did, even though they're lovely, we didn't want them in this kind of garden. And so here's the scope of it. It started out like 30 by 50, but we added another 10 feet on the side, so it became 40 by 50. And here's our compost. I'm trying to remember, that may have been mushroom compost. And then we had these, we had this ginormous, heavy spool of this kind of cardboard paper, and we just rolled it out and weighted it down with rocks and watered it. Here's our supervisor. He's double checking with his equipment. And he gave us a thumbs up. And you can see how we're putting out we used wood chips rather than mulch. We used wood chips because it was free to McCoy. And these are the volunteers. The process that we went through, because it was COVID, is we used Zoom to have meetings, and we would share designs and things like that. And then when we were doing the gardening, we were outside, we wore masks, but none of us gave anybody COVID. it was a great way to get through the pandemic, being outside. So, one of the other, we talked about soil and prepping the soil, and now we have to think about light and moisture. And we'll get into this. These are examples of these various combinations of light and moisture. Like you have sunny and dry. And these are some plants that would go well in that area. And again, we've got a handout that has all of these iterations of sun and moisture. Then sunny and moist, part shade and dry, part shade and moist, shade and wet.
Milkweed is in every one of them.
Yeah, I made sure of that. Okay, so location, light and moisture. Now we have to think about the size, the design, the layout. You know, you can have a small garden, you can have a container garden and have butterfly and pollinator plants. You can have a 40 by 50 foot area or an acre. Somebody has an acre that they were considering. Yeah. So you think about the size, where it's going to be, and the choices that you make help determine which plants you will use and how many plants in a given area. And you know, I'm still learning. My dad grew up near Winchester, and he was born in 1911, I think. And he worked, they have a lot of nurseries there. Well, they did back then too. And when he was 6 years old, he would work in those nurseries. And so I grew up loving plants, but I never seemed to have time until I moved here. I was working, raising children, helping my older parents. You know, there's seasons of life. Back to the matter of design. So, I know what I was going to say. I would dabble in a variety of a plant, a species or a hybrid or whatever, and I just get one or two. That's a mistake. You can dabble, but then once you find what you like, get a lot of them so that they make a statement. Don't just get one or two. That's one thing I learned just in the last few years. And then, as I mentioned, I've got these little sheets that we'll use, whoever wants to stay at the end, to help design. And the way they're laid out is you've got a primary plant and an alternate plant for a particular size and shape and color and bloom season. And you write those down, you talk about how tall they are, what their spread is, so that you know what you're working with. And then you can even, it's got the months across, like April through September or October. And you can draw a colored line. That's why I got the crayons, 50-cent crayons. If anybody has children or grandchildren, you may take them at the end. But you can draw out the color so you can see what your palette is. And when you've got all this information about size and spread, you'll know where to put them. Okay, this is back to McCoy. This was our very first design. We started slow. This is where that was. Here's the barn and the little pump house in the background. And these were the existing. And there's a big shrub there, and there's this beautiful linden tree that has this long branch that the kids love to climb on like it's a pony. I've often said, I just want to put some stirrups on that thing, maybe a bridle or something. And this over here is away from it. There's some boxwoods, and it's used often by brides. They'll come through the boxwoods, and there are people sitting out there waiting for the bride to come, and the groom is there. Anyway, it's a beautiful setting is the point. So we included that, but then we began to really focus on the garden. Remember, we're doing this, sharing it by Zoom, and people came up with different ideas. One was geometrics, where these are beds and a bench in the middle, and then we had a playhouse. Then we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool, since it's going to be kind of a butterfly garden, let's make it in the shape of a butterfly. So we have different designs there, and here again is that play dome. I'm just reminding y'all of that because we'll see it eventually. And then we thought, well, it's a children's garden as well as a butterfly garden. And children like to have hidey holes and tunnels to crawl through and just features that are fun. Somebody, who was it that was telling me about, I think it was Carol, a garden up at Crossville, a children's garden that has different features that the kids can play with. So here you come in and here's a hidey hole, here's that playhouse and more hidey holes. And we had more maze designs, and we thought about trellises and butterfly benches, and here's some things for the kids, and there's that dome. This is the one we landed on. You've got one entrance here, another one here, and here. And then this was kind of a tip of the hat to Miss McCoy, and it has mainly cutting flowers. But even many of those are natives, although we do have zinnias, which the adult butterflies love. And then here's a little fairy garden. Here's the playhouse. And this ended up being another entrance rather than a garden. And it has a trellis over it. And we put coral honeysuckle on that. It's just beautiful. And then here is a tunnel that kids can crawl through. And we have passion flower over that. And this is an herb spiral or herb. How is it pronounced now? Is it with an H? Herb, okay. Yeah, herbs, a man, not an herb. And then these are, this is a little bit that has animal plant names like Posito and pig squeak and, goat's beard, all that kind of stuff. And then there's azaleas here, and this is all native plants. So that was the winner. And the people that work together, and this is something I would recommend, even if you're doing your own personal garden, consider getting a buddy, and y'all advise one another on your gardens and work with each other so that you've got more than just my pea brain working on it. But so we had all these creative people. One of them had moved here from California. She had been the director at Microsoft over the Xbox project. So she was very computer astute. And she also loved native plants and wildflowers. She was amazing. Elizabeth Hamilton, she has become what I did at McCoy. I decided it was time to share the wealth, and she's, like in her 40s. Let someone else have the pleasure of and the experience of doing this. So she's now chair of the garden committee and on the board. But this is what she drew. And it has all the plants in it. Isn't that amazing? Mully grass and hydrangea. I don't know if I can read it all, but there are all kinds of.
I'm sorry, is this digital?
It's digital.
So does she use an app?
She did use an app. I'll have to find out what it is.
Is that available?
The app?
That picture?
That
The names
picture.
of it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is. I can send that out. I have it on my computer. And it's a good inventory of what works around here. So here's Richard. This is again part of the process. We conditioned the soil, did weed control and put mulch and all that good stuff. And then because it's a children's garden and all these hidey holes, you have to build the borders for the plants. And we went down into Sequatchie Valley and bought 8 tons of border stones. A lot. And here is the guy delivering them. And I asked him to put them at the 4 corners of the plot so that we could just work our way in. One by one, it's manageable. But here you begin to see how we started working through it. Here's the cut flower and the fairy gardens. And the rest of here's the, I think that's where the dome is, and here's the spiral garden. There's another thing to consider, and that's irrigation, because we didn't want to have to go over there 3 times a week. We decided to put in an in-ground irrigation system, and I worked with a company that's off of I-75, and they were so nice, so helpful. And Elizabeth and I designed this and put it together. That's the back of my car. And these were the various components. And we did have some help. A guy came and helped, we paid him. He came and helped us dig the main trenches. And then we had a design how to put them in to cover the gardens.
Sanders irrigation.
Sanders irrigation, it's off of, I think it's around Ottawa or that area. So plant selection, start with natives, consider host plants, consider their light and moisture needs. This is a lot of repetition, but these are all important things to think about. Consider height, density, bloom color, the season of blooming, nectar sources, and of course, milkweed. So the next spring of March of 2021, we didn't get all those daffodils. They came back through. But so we took those and made new homes for those at McCoy. We didn't waste anything, but here is some of the new plantings that we got, and I got them through Wild Ones Native Plant Sale. Overhill Gardens was a big source. It's about 2 hours away up near Knoxville, and it's a good source. And here we are getting ready to plant. And we have mulch that we're going to put in the beds because we want it to look tiny and nice. There's the herb spiral. And here is the willow dome. It was supposed to be a woven willow dome, but because of COVID, the people up in Vermont that sourced the willow dome, the willows and all the instructions, there were like 9 pages of instructions to do it. They did not have enough help to be able to pull it off that year. So we put in sunflowers the first year, and then the next year we put in the willow dome. And if you go up there now, it's really cool. The kids crawl inside and they sit in there. We've got a couple of little logs that have been trimmed down to be like stools to sit on. And this is what it looked like that first spring. We had I think a garden club from Murfreesboro that came. And you can see here how the sunflowers just took off. Now back to what we were talking about early on. Butterflies and host plants. And here's just a representative list. There's Wild Ones website has all kinds of information, some of which I'll share. But this, and you can get this and more on Wild Ones. So and I've got that on our resource sheet that I'll hand out. But like American Lady, they like pussy toads. Anise swallowtail, parsley, dill, and fennel. We've talked about some of these. The Eastern tiger swallowtail likes these trees. The fritillary likes violets. The Gulf fritillary likes passion vine, and I'm here to attest to that because the passion vine was over the little tunnel that the kids could crawl through, and there were tons of fritillaria on that. Monarch and milkweed, painted lady like sunflower and ironweed, question mark, elm and hackberry, and the zebra swallowtail likes pawpaw. Has anybody eaten a pawpaw? Are they delicious?
They're very good. Yeah, once they drop, you have to eat it that day.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause we planted 2 pawpaws. I had no idea yet whether we got the kind that are different enough to reproduce. Don't you have to have like one that has a female flower and one that has a male flower to be able to? You must have it.
No, I had it the first time at Crabtree Farm.
Oh,
So you can ask them. They
I
know.
will.
Yeah,
I'll go back
ask them.
down there. Crabtree's another great resource, as is, Reflection Lighting, thank you. I get a lot of plants there too. Now, here are the keystones. 5% of the available native plant genera keystone supports 73% of the available caterpillars. Isn't that amazing? And they're either woody or herbaceous. This is again from Wild Ones. And they put together this slide. You've got all kinds of trees, oaks, native cherries, hickories, maples, willow, blueberries, crabapple, elms, and pine. And then you have herbaceous plants like goldenrods, and a lot of these just come up naturally. I had a bone set just come up in, I have a slope, we have a slope down from our house that at one time it had all kinds of brambles, and I worked and got rid of those. And in its place came things like the goldenrods and the bone set. I really didn't plant anything. I just made it available, and they came. It's kind of like, what is that? I'll build a baseball field and they'll come. False indigo, ironweed is so beautiful, and evening primrose. And again, this is just a sampling, an example of what's on Wild Ones. Here are sunny, dry, well-drained soil, and these are plants that would do well in that environment. And then same with sunny, average moist, and then parched shade. So these are like your inventory of plants that you can select from that will do well here. And another one that shows, I like this one. This is probably one of the places I got the idea for these little worksheets. But they give the common name and the botanical or scientific name, natural enemies. It must be on a separate page, but you can find, oh, well, here it is, good, better, best. And then these plants that bees attract, and it shows you the months and the color that they'll bloom. So again, it's a great resource for a palette. And then here was another one, and it's for the Southeast. That kind of goes through, what we've been talking about. Figure out where you want to put your garden. Get the plants locally if you can. And then you figure out where you're going to put them, how many. And I think it's better to have more than a few, so that they make a statement, they have an impact. And here are the seasons: spring, summer, and fall. And they have things like beardstone or penstemon, which is so beautiful. And it comes back, all of these come back every year. Coreopsis, they're Eastern blue star. And then in the summer, milkweed, black-eyed Susans, wild bergamot is beautiful. Blazing star, coneflowers, trumpet weed. And then in the fall, swamp sunflower, goldenrod, blue mist flower, asters. There are all kinds of asters that are gorgeous. And then these are just samples from McCoy, their pollinator garden. This was one year we had quite a few butterfly larvae or caterpillar, monarch. And I took this picture. So they actually do look like that other nice one that we saw. And here's a zinnia, they like that for nectar. These are just some common samples that are in the pollinator garden at McCoy. So common milkweed, swamp milkweed, smooth seal, Solomon seal. You can see the flowers up underneath, and these come out in early spring. And then just for interest, we have ferns. There's a Christmas fern, and I learned from one of the other volunteers, the way you can tell it is it looks like a mitt, and there's a thumb on the leaf, like a Christmas mitt. And then northern maidenhair fern, they're just so delicate and beautiful. And if you go to the trails at Smoky Mountain, you'll find them there. You'll find them at Shake Rag Hollow. Bone flower is an ephemeral that comes out early. They look like fairy flowers to me. And these are yarrow in the front, and then in the back here, cutleaf coneflower. And there's one of our volunteers at McCoy. She's not as crazy about the cutleaf coneflower because they grow and just will take over a space. She calls them bugs. But they have a gore, and you should, if you do get them, you should trim them back twice before fall so that they're not ginormous and falling over. But they have a beautiful yellow bloom. Here's the penstemon, beard tongue, columbine. When I was growing up, we had when my kids were growing up, we had these placemats that had wildflowers on them, and the motif had excerpts from Shakespeare's Hamlet, when Ophelia talked about, when she was talking about the different wildflowers, and columbine was one of them. I always think about that. They were those hard placemats. They were great with kids. Blue false indigo, hardy geranium. They're real short, low to the ground, but they have a beautiful bloom. This is fennel, swallowtail caterpillars like them for host. Star of Persia is not native, but it's a really interesting plant, so I included it in there. It's an alum that has this beautiful lavender head on it, and when they're extended, they just drop off, and they still look pretty on the ground. Mouse ear, tick seed, coreopsis. There are several coreopsis that are nice. Lance leaf and red valerian. And then we have shrubs on one side of the pollinator garden, oak leaf hydrangea. And I put this other one in because I just love the name. It's a panicle hydrangea, but it's called Bobo. I think that's cute. And then there are other native Florida azalea, plumleaf, winterberry holly. Now, that's basically the bulk of the presentation, but I found this wonderful site that had these garden designs that I'll hand out in just a minute. And here's what they have, and what I like about them. I kind of talked about it, but this is for a sunny and dry garden, and they have, examples of what you could put in that kind of garden, and the number of plants for a 30 by 10 foot garden. So on this one, Mountain Mint, which is MM, they suggested 5. And I have Mountain Mint at home. I love it. It's a subtle color. It's almost like gray and green. But this also shows the bloom time and the bloom colors. Here's April through October, and then where they placed them. It's on the resource. Yeah, I will point it out to you. And here's sunny and moist. Part sun and dry. And you'll each have a sample of these. Part sun and moist. Shade garden. And a wet garden. Now, here's the, I did my own version of that. I just used a spreadsheet. And on the back of these sheets that I don't show on the presentation, but they're on your handout, show alternative plants for each of these. So what I did is, this is sun and dry for a size 10 by 30. And these are the primary plants. And then this over here are alternatives. These are shrubs. These are perennials. Coreopsis, asters, Joe Pye weeds,
Yeah,
coneflower,
it doesn't matter.
and moss phlox. And it tells the ones that are deer resistant, and actually most of these are. And then I put in the color, bloom color, and the size. So height by width and the number of plants that you would want to put in. And then this shows the bloom time general color. And so you can begin to put them in here. And my granddaughter, who is 15, came up and spent the night with me 2 or 3 weeks ago. And she needed some volunteer time for her high school. And I said, well, would you help me? I'm doing a presentation on pollinator gardens. Would you help me work through a garden? So this is even something you can do with your kids. You may need to do a little more afterwards, maybe not, but she did a nice job. Here's what she did. Yeah. So let me see where we are. This is an example of what you might get. It's so worthwhile, and I just imagine pollinators all over the place.
No grass to cut.
Right, no grass to cut. Isn't that awesome? And you know, when you plant a number of them and they grow densely, you don't have very many weeds. It's really worth the effort. Now, this is a video I made of, and I may have to turn it on over here. I made the children's garden. Okay. It just takes about 2 minutes, but I thought you might like a walk through. If it makes you dizzy, just look away. July. And we got little yard art from the 127 yard sale.
This garden's a year old at this point.
Yes, yes. Well, this is the first summer, and then it'll go to a year later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sally, how long did it take you to prepare the land, to do the mulching and the composting? And
Well, once you get everything together, all your supplies, it'll take an afternoon or so. Here's the berry garden.
But did you have to like wait a full year?
Oh, between the time we
Amend
prepared
the
it,
soil, yeah.
we prepared it in late fall, early winter, and planted that spring.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was cardboard paper, you just, you can poke through. Yeah, but you could use, like cardboard.
Hello, everyone. I'm not sure what happened to Peter. Lost battery power. I think I sent everybody handouts who wanted handouts. I think I sent everybody both the pollinator handouts and Ann Brown's handout.